the best baseball city in America, the Cardinal way, and all of that. Put into perspective this season, because on paper it seemed like maybe St. Louis wasn't the best, and yet they've proven yet again they were the class of the league.
Well, they find ways to win ball games, and you see with the farm system that they have, the arms that they pulled up from the minor leagues. Michael Wacha, the great example tonight, just how good he was. Rosenthal, Miller. It's time and time again. They find guys, they make trades. Carlos Beltran, what he's done the last 2 years, they find ways to get done, and they just have such a good nucleus in that team and in that clubhouse that there's no quitting these guys, and we counted them out this winter. I know I did in my predictions prior to the season. I didn't think they were going to be where they were, but those arms and all the young guys, Matt Carpenter at the top of that lineup, I mean, wow, what a season so far.
Yeah, you look at the history of what they have done. In terms of the most World Series appearances in National League history, the Cardinals now tied with the Giants with 19, one ahead of the LA Dodgers, the Cubs back at 10. And for St. Louis, it's been a really nice run, Nomar. 4 appearances in their last 10 seasons. And to Mark's point, they seem to transition very well. Albert Pujols moves on, they can plug in other guys. Chris Carpenter gets hurt, Adam Wainwright gets plugged in. The way that they've been able to replenish the system on the fly is really impressive.
Well, and I think you touched on it when you asked them. It says it looks like this is the organization that everybody's trying to model themselves after, or they say they have figured it out. You kind of put them in the same category as the New England Patriots, because whenever somebody else goes, they have somebody to come in and fit that mold and play to their program. And like you mentioned, the reason why people were counting them out, because they had so many young guys stepping in this year, and you're going, okay, are they really ready for the big leagues? That means they all have to really step up and do something great, and they all did. And speaking of something great, I mean, the winner, Michael Wacha, he's a rookie coming in and has looked outstanding. He had to go against Mr. Cy Young probably this year and Clayton Kershaw, and he beat him.
It's amazing what Wacha did, Mark, because the guy's 22 years old. And I understand, pitching beyond your years. But in terms of winning a clinching game in LCS, rookie starters in history, Daisuke did it in 07, Fernando Mania in 81, and Dave Righetti back in 81 as well. But you touched on the fact he has an arsenal of pitches, but as a pitcher, you're going up against Clayton Kershaw. Clearly that has to factor in your head a little bit, but Wacha was completely unfazed by it.
He looked like it. If it was getting to him, you couldn't tell, because he came out. But, I've heard people say, boy, he's got great stuff. Well, and he sure does look calm out there. Well, if I had that stuff, I'd look calm out there, too. If I had 96, 97 with that Bugs Bunny changeup, a good breaking ball, but it's his command. It's where he locates those pitches, the fastball command. We all know, and you hear a lot of the pitching guys up here say it all the time, it's all off your fastball command, and that's what he has. He was locating it in this game. He located it in game 2. And that's where it starts, especially against the hitters.
Right, and my one question to you is, everybody can sit back and say, well, look, if they gave him the lead, he had a 4-run lead there, then they put more runs, he was pitching with a 9-run lead. But I hear a lot of pitchers say, well, that's not necessarily the easiest thing to do when I have a lead, because you're thinking, I don't want to walk any guy, and you kind of slowly get the guys in. Was that impressive to you, that even with the lead, or how hard is that with the lead to go out there and go pitch?
When he had the 4-0, that to me, the next 2 innings after that, somebody was on base, I think there was a leadoff double, and he walked the guy a different inning. That's what showed me a lot, because you can go out there, take the approach of, let's throw strikes, let's not walk anybody, so every fastball count, you throw a fastball. And he might have done that in some of the situations, but it's where he located that fastball. It was on the black. He was attacking guys. He wasn't just trying to throw strikes as he was making pitches, and that's why he was successful.
And that pivotal inning, Nomar, the 3rd inning, where Clayton Kershaw, 48 pitches, the most he's thrown in an inning all season. What was it for St. Louis that they were able to get that emotion and basically that momentum? I mean, it's the first time a team had batted around against Kershaw since 2009. They really didn't let up.
Well, a lot of the pitches that Kershaw threw that were hit were misplaced. He didn't come up with his feet. He missed his spot. But I would have to go back to the very first hit of that inning in Matt Carpenter. He had an 11-pitch at bat and came up with a huge double there. And then you were forced to face Carlos Beltran, and you have a decision to make right there. Do I pitch to Beltran, who we know always seems to come up big in the postseason and in the clutch? He's already done that and proven that this year. Or do you pitch around him to face Matt Holliday, who hit a towering home run over there at Dodger Stadium, and it looks like he was slowly coming out of his slump? So you put the pressure on there, and they capitalized on that. They got the big hits, and it seemed like it was a merry-go-round. And I was just impressed that it's one thing to score that many runs maybe at the top of your lineup, the guys that you expect, but they scored runs throughout the entire lineup. I mean, they had 4 different guys with multiple hits.
And that 11-pitch at bat, I think that got to Kershaw a little bit. His command was on point until that at bat. And after that, you saw him start to miss location. mislocation to the bottom of that order, which those guys are the ones that ultimately hurt him.
And Kershaw was the first pitcher since Pedro in 2000 to have a sub-2 ERA in the regular season. But something about the Cardinals this year, Mark, this is staggering. He was 17-7, a 1.64 ERA against everybody else, 236 innings, and yet against St. Louis, an ERA over 5, 0-4 record. What was it about that Cardinals line?
Sometimes there is no rhyme or reason. Sometimes as a pitcher, you don't feel like the matchups fit your stuff. And I know that it's not any sort of an excuse. It's just there were times I pitched against certain teams or certain lineups, maybe just a collection of guys in a certain lineup, that I stood on the mound kind of and what do I throw these guys? You know, you just get confused out there. And it's not that you don't understand the approach that you want to take. It's just that you throw one pitch, you fall behind 1-0, and the plan that you're thinking of, okay, this is what I'm going to next, doesn't feel right. And as a pitcher, feel is so important. And when you don't feel like you're going to make that good pitch out there, that quality pitch, you're not going to.
And it's a little bit